You know that I'ma keep it cool. With you I feel like breaking rules. On the edge, looking out with no parachute. You know I'm dreaming about us two, playing around without a clue. On the edge, leaning out. With us it's all or nothing.
Well, hello. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer and the founder of this Legit Podcast Pro group. And I hope you are having a great day. It's Sunday, and I'm going to try to do this a little more regularly, do a sort of a focused subject matter training of some sort. Wow, what's going on with that lettering on the screen? It's looking wild. Maybe it's just on my smaller screen. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. In any event, I want to do this more often. I'm going to pick a day and time that is best for as many of us as possible. So please chime in the notes, the comments below. Let me know the best time for you. If you can, convert it to U.S. Pacific time, so I will be able to figure it out for myself. Today it's Sunday, and I'm doing it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and people aren't hanging around on Facebook at 4 p.m. I guess. So let me know what's a good time. Should I do it on a weekday? Should I do it in the morning Pacific time, or in the evening, or after dinner time? In the later evening. I can do it pretty much any time that makes sense, except sort of in the middle of my work day. I can even do that if I have to. And I just want to talk about a topic, try to do this every couple of weeks, maybe every week, do a topic that is of importance to you guys. And one of the topics that I hear most often from folks that they're interested in is growing the audience, increasing the number of downloads, increasing the number of people aware of and listening to your show. And I want to try to address that. I've been doing a little digging into what's working for people and so on, and hopefully we can add to that discussion here. If you are watching and have comments, either live or in the replay, first of all, if you're watching on replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you're watching live, I hope you will click on the link that's in the bottom of the description, or maybe it's the top of the description that tells you, that gives you me permission to see your name in the comments. That Ecamm needs that permission, and so that it's complying with Facebook's rules. So you can also just go to GPF. That's my initials, Gordon P. Firemark. GPF.link/allow ALLOW, and let them know that it's okay. All you do is click the button and then come back here and make your comments. But make your comments. If you use hashtag replay, I'll know you're watching it later. But I'd love to know what's worked for you in terms of growing your audience. The truth of it is definitely possible to increase your downloads, maybe even double them in just a few months' time. Especially when you're just starting out, you can ramp up that growth pretty fast and keep doubling every couple of months, and you go far fast. So the thing that you have to do, though, in order to do that, let me switch over here. The thing that you have to do to make that work is you have to know what your numbers are. You've got to look at things and know your numbers. You need to measure your growth. That is, track it. So pick a day every week, and you're going to make a note on that day of what your numbers are. Keep it in a spreadsheet or a table, or do something that'll graph it, or so, whatever it takes for you to motivate you. And also then set a goal. What is the goal number you want to use for, I don't know, let's use a 90-day goal achievement model. All right. So you've got 90 days, 12 weeks. Okay. So let's say it's Monday that you're going to check your numbers every Monday. You're going to look at the number of downloads for your most recent episodes. And your goal is, let's say it's to double them in 90 days. Well, starting here, and write down that goal. And how many more does that mean you need? And if you break that down into those 12 weeks, assume that you were able to get a handful every week. What would it take to get you to that double number within 90 days? Growing your audience involves knowing where you're starting so you can watch that. So pick your metrics. I will say also, downloads may not be the right metric for you. Maybe you want to increase audience engagement, because that's a good way to get things. Whatever it is that you want to measure it, because what gets easy for me to say, what gets measured gets improvement. So pick your metrics. Maybe it's downloads and engagement. Maybe it's subscriptions. Maybe you have a lead magnet, a value added content upgrade kind of a thing where you get people onto your mailing list. That is another great goal, and I would say it's even better to have people on a mailing list that will let you, or that you can, what's the word I'm looking for? That you can send folks to, you can send contact to, even if your podcast isn't available or whatever. It's a great tool. That's another topic for another day, is how to build your email list. But the importance of that can't be overstated. So pick your metrics, know what your numbers are, get yourself measuring those things on a regular basis, checking in and thinking about what can you do this next episode, this next week, this next day, whatever, to improve those numbers and to reach out to more people and so on. Next up, know why you're here. When I say know why you're here, I mean, what is the purpose of your show? What is it you're trying to achieve? Do you want to have an impact on people? I think that's the reason most of us are here doing our podcast, and our live streams and everything. We want to have impact. We want to make contact with as many people because we want them to hear what we have to say. And having a clarity of purpose, understanding what your real goal and purpose and your mission, your values. What has you doing this? What gets you going to make your podcast every time? Is important stuff. So please do check in on that as well and understand why you're here. That's sort of a beginning point because, and I guess what I'm saying is sort of knowing what your core values are and being able to express those will help you to stand apart in the marketplace of podcasters. It's a hallmark of professionalism is really being able to articulate what you're doing here. What are you trying to achieve and accomplish? Next up, know your audience. Who are they? Have you created an audience avatar for your listener? Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know as much as you can about that person? Have you given that person a name? Can you close your eyes and picture your audience person, the one that you speak to? When you're talking into that microphone, do you know who you're talking to? I confess I'm a little scattered on that myself sometimes, but right now I know who I'm talking to. And I've given that person a name and I've given that person an identity. And I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't want anybody to think I'm not talking to them. The fact of it is, when you're speaking to one person, you're speaking to lots of people who have some of the common characteristics of that person. So knowing who your audience is. Now, I'm not saying knowing who they actually are. I'm saying having in mind a picture of who you're trying to reach and who you intend to reach and who you can help. After you've been going for a while and you have an audience that's sort of big enough to be statistically relevant, then you can know who's actually listening. For example, my Entertainment Law Update podcast, we knew going in it was going to be aimed at other lawyers and other law students and other people in the entertainment industry who care about the legal environment around entertainment and media. So we started with that, and now we know, partly because that's who we publicize the show to, we know who's listening. And I will tell you one of the tricks about how we grow our audience. A couple of times a year, we do something that is really cool that grows our audience, significant bumps in numbers. And it's in our sphere, it's pretty easy, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So pick your metrics, know your why, and know who they are, and know why they're here. Why are they listening to your show? What are they hoping to get out of it? What is it that attracts them to your show? What is it that, if you can ask your existing listeners, hey, what was it that caught your attention and made you click download that first episode or subscribe to the show? And find out what that is. Someone's making a comment, so I want to say hello. Rob, a radio DJ who talks to a stuffed animal. He can't talk into nowhere. He needs to talk to someone. That is a great idea. Right behind the microphone, you have a stuffed animal or a photo of whoever it is you're talking to. And that's a great way to do the audience avatar thing. And the more you can superimpose a set of values and ideas and thought processes and dreams and desires and all of those things onto that avatar, knowing why they are listening will help you to craft the content that will keep them listening. So go ahead and ask them. Create a survey. Use Google Forms to set up a quick survey. I like a 2-question, one, 2 or 3 questions, all on one page. Bang, bang, bang. They answer it. It takes them 1 minute to answer the survey. And if you send out a message or a call to action to them, hey, I'd like to know more about you so I can serve you better. So please come on over to, link.com/survey and have them fill out that survey to tell you the answers. Once you've got a handful of those answers, you will have a better sense of what they're hoping to get when they tune into your show. Now, maybe it's just entertainment or information, but I'll say furnishing pure information isn't really enough. There's more to it than just information. You can get information anywhere. Go read an encyclopedia. Look at Wikipedia, dictionary.com. The information's out there. What are you bringing to the table that is making you or your show their go-to reason to tune into you instead of Wikipedia or Google or whatever, right? And that sort of brings us to the next one. Give them a transformation. The transformation is what is the value, right? Value is transformation. There is no value in just raw information. So what you provide with your show should take them from one place to another. Call it transportation if you want. Your podcast is the vehicle. climb on the bus and let's go. We're going to take you someplace you haven't been before. That someplace is having a new skill set or knowing more information and really understanding, or having having had an informed conversation about something that makes you a better, more well-rounded person. Or in my case, entertainment law update. It's I'm going to take you on a transformation to being a better informed, more educated, more knowledgeable lawyer or law student about entertainment law. You're going to hear what we do is we cover the cases. We talk um, about developments in the field of entertainment law. Every month we do a monthly show, which I wouldn't advise go more frequently than that. But our monthly show informs our audience about the thing that they do for a living, so they don't have to go hit the books. We give them the quick summaries and the names of the cases so they can go look them up when they're ready, when they need them. But it comes to mind. They'll remember that conversation. And we will say things during our discussion that we try to, I don't know what the word I'm looking at, sort of plant a seed that will sit there and grow and germinate into a greater inquisitiveness about the case, or just, having that memory tree there. When that seed germinates, it's stuck in their memory. So we're more than just here's a bunch of information, but we're trying to set up little tricks to make them remember as well. It's hard to describe how we do that. It sort of comes naturally to us. Lawyers are generally pretty good at that kind of thing. Rob's asking, what's the best publication frequency? Rob, I think it's whatever's best for you. It's a reason we chose monthly, to be honest with you, is that I'm a busy lawyer and my co-host is a busy lawyer. And getting us together to spend a few hours every week to plan, produce, and distribute a show would be too much. At our hourly rates, it would be very costly to us to be doing that. It's beneficial, but because we do it monthly, it's also would probably be overwhelming for our audience. But once a month, having a little study session for a month and listening for an hour and a quarter every month, that's something they could do. We also, when we set out, we were planning on doing continuing education credit for our show. That didn't work out for a number of reasons, but we were thinking 1 hour a month gets everybody their specific number of required credits each year. But weekly, I think, is sort of the sweet spot because it's manageable to do it, but and not too much of a burden. But you're there every Tuesday, every Wednesday, whatever your publication day is. You're there and you show up, and your audience can rely on you without sort of forgetting that you're in the feed. With a monthly show, they've got to want to tune into the show. Fortunately, we show up in their feed and oh yeah, there's another episode. Fantastic. We also do a little promotion to say, hey, the next episode's dropping today. We do very little of that, actually. That's something we need to grow. Thank you for that. But you could do daily, or twice weekly, or every 2 weeks, whatever works for you. Because if you have a show that's hard for you to get out, then you're going to slip. And then once you slip once, it's okay. And I got to go back. I got to feel like I explained myself, those kinds of things. I think it's better to pick a frequency that you can be consistent with, even if it's not as often as the other guys. The folks who do daily shows often are not producing the show every day. They're batching them, and that's an interesting approach. If you're going to do twice a week, you could batch them and record them both on the same day and release one at the beginning of the week and one at the end of the week, those kinds of things. Twice a week is awesome. The folks that are doing that, I see their numbers are fantastic. But remember, twice as often means twice the number of downloads, assuming the same subscriber base. So don't assume that just because someone says they've got 1 million downloads, that their show is really that big of an audience, because 1 million downloads. I know one guy who does a 3 times a week show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those episodes come out, and he's counting all of those. And if you look at his 1 million downloads per year, that's actually 300,000 subscribers. That's still a very, very nice number, but he's not actually got 1 million people listening to every episode of his show. So those, let's be real about what the numbers mean as well. All right. So where were we? Giving them transformation, Take them someplace they haven't been and they want to go or need to go. Okay, that's great. Next up, ask them to help and share about your show. Word of mouth is your best growth tool. But your audience will not naturally do that for you unless you ask them. You have to make it easy for them. How you ask is really, really important. Please don't just say, hey, tell your friends about the show. We'd love to grow our audience. That's not going to work. Do this. Say, whoops, I'm doing the wrong thing here. Whom do you know who'd benefit from our show? Ask them to think of 3 people right now. Identify them in your mind. Hey, who do you know who would benefit from listening to Entertainment Law Update? Think about that right now. Get those names in your mind. And as soon as the show is over, please reach out to them. Tell them you listened to this episode and you'd love it if they would listen to, or that you think there's something they would really appreciate. Send them an email, send them a text, whatever it is. Include the link to the show, and you'll be helping us tremendously. We'd be really grateful. Thanks so much. And please be grateful. Always be grateful for what your audience does to help you. That's amazing. So ask them to do that. Make this your last call to action, preferably your only call to action in the show, and make, cap the show off with it so there's no time for them to forget, oh yeah, I was going to send an email to Jennifer. Ask them, hey, if you know somebody who would benefit from the show, think of who that is right now. Please commit to telling that person as soon as we're finished with the show how to find us and why you think it's valuable to them. And I promise you, they will do it. They will, not all of them, and they won't all reach out to all 3, but you could, if every listener in your audience sent an email to 3 people and one of those 3 people subscribed to your show the next month, you doubled your downloads right there. Right? Okay. So that's this. Make this whom do you know question the last thing you say in the show. Next up, find their hangouts. Find out where they linger online. Do they have certain Facebook groups that they participate in? Do they have Reddit subreddits? Do they have Instagram channels and things that they follow? Where do your listeners spend their time? Your ideal listener avatar, remember? Where do they spend their time? Are you trying to reach folks who pay attention to Pinterest? Well, think about how you can reach folks on Pinterest. Do they listen to or subscribe to certain influencers? Be present in the places where your audience hangs out. Be visible. But don't just be promoting all the time. Be helping. Provide value in those places as well. One way you can provide value is just to answer a question here and there, or ask a question. But don't make it one of those I'm clearly just doing market research kind of questions. Hey, what's your biggest favorite thing? Those kinds of things. Ask meaningful questions. First of all, be a part of the community, I guess is what I'm saying. People want to communicate and listen to and attend to what their friends are doing. So be their friend. Be in those places and mean it. Be authentic about that. With influencers, you want to get with those influencers. You want to get on their podcasts, into their Instagram feeds. So again, it's about value. Offer value to that influencer. What is it that you can get that influencer to say or do that would be good for their audience, that will make it easy for them to provide a service or help their audience? And be present with them. Get their voice, the influencer's voice, to talk about you. So craft your pitch really carefully to make it clear that you want to help, that you're offering something of value that their audience will enjoy and derive value from. And it may be bringing some of your audience to them as well. If you want to get on other people's podcasts, think about hiring one of those podcast placement agencies. Certainly sign up with the websites, the services that have audience placement, and help out in this group. Hey, if you need a guest, say so. Make a post in this group. I'm looking for guests who XYZ. And if you are looking to be a guest, respond to those things. And in fact, I will make a post saying, if you're wanting to guest on other people's show, post your blurb here. And in the comments, I'll give you an opportunity. So watch for that in the next day or so. Okay. So, and again, make a list of the top 10 or 20 or 100 hangouts and influencers that you know your audience is interested in, and identify the ones, take them in order of priority. How can you put yourself in front of that audience without being obnoxious about it? All right. What else? Find their influencers and influence them. There we go. I didn't realize I had a scrawl for that one. I'm going to call these scrawls now. Finally, take your time. Don't be impatient about this, okay? There is no hurry. You are not on a schedule. Just be authentic and be focused on providing that value, giving them that transformation, taking them on that journey. You can be the guide, the leader that takes them there. And don't get disillusioned by the amount of time it's taking. If you're watching those metrics and you're seeing them grow, that should be encouraging. If you check it every day, you may not see growth, and that can be discouraging. But if you check it every 6 months, then you're not really monitoring it. You're not really doing it. So every week, every couple of weeks, I would say is a good frequency to look at your numbers. Certainly, when you put out an episode every week, keeping track of that episode's numbers. I mean, you actually want to look back at the previous 30 days. So the episode, how many downloads does an episode have 30 days after it goes live? That's the sort of sweet metric that everybody's talking about. Downloads per month per episode. All right. Take your time, no hurry, no schedule. And I think you can double your audience size in just a few months if you're disciplined about it. Oh, so I was going to give you the tip. What we do with Entertainment Law Update, let me just make sure I got through all my notes. With Entertainment Law Update, what we do is we do a live recording at a law school or a conference at least once, maybe twice a year. And we didn't do it in the last year because of the COVID quarantines, but we get a student bar association or a local bar association, and we've done the state of Texas a couple of times, and we speak to their entertainment law conference. We'll go and we'll prepare a talk, usually about the law of podcasting, and we will record an episode of our show live, and then we'll give our little talk. And sometimes it's over lunch, sometimes it's just a morning plenary session at their conference. We're providing value, we're giving them content, and we're attracting an audience of people who may not have heard of us before. Sometimes we're talking to a room of people who already listen. Sometimes we're talking to a room of people who, when they heard we were going to be there, downloaded an episode and listen. And sometimes we're talking to a room of people who, oh, wow, that is so cool. And by inviting them into our production process, whoops, what happened? Something weird happened. Let me just make sure we're good. Hey, Bob. Nice to see you. I'm just talking about how folks can double their downloads, increase their listenership. So anyway, we're talking to these conferences, and we invite these folks into our production process. They can see what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe it gets them excited about podcasting themselves too. So either way, we're having a good time with it, and just lots of fun. What do you do? What other tips? Okay, yeah, it just went dark on my screen for a second, and anyway, okay. What do you do that helps grow your audience? Do you send out emails? Do you tweet? Oh, please, and I didn't put those on my list, but certainly using your social media channels to promote your episodes makes a lot of sense. I think you could tease every episode a couple of days before it drops, the day it drops, and then over the next 2 or 3 days, you can say, hey, if you haven't listened yet, go check it out. You can promote a key takeaway from it. Maybe you could pull a pull quote from the audio and post that as a waveform. What do you call it? You know what I'm talking about? An audiogram of the episode, just as a teaser. Hey, and maybe even listen to more. Here's how you do it. Those kinds of things. We've talked about contests. You run a contest for your listeners to, who can get the most other listeners to come join the party. Clubhouse is an interesting tool. Some podcasters are raving about how great Clubhouse is because it also is an audio format thing. And so you could go into Clubhouse and extend the conversation. Tamara and I have talked about doing this, and we haven't figured out our strategy yet. We did one episode where we simulcast the show on Clubhouse, and we had a few people drop in and listen, and some of them stuck around until the end, which was pretty impressive, because our recordings tend to be an hour and a half or so long. But yeah, don't know what we're going to do about that exactly, but I think it could be a good way. Certainly going into groups, again, where they hang out. If there are Clubhouse chats happening about a subject that your podcast is related to, get in there. Get up on the stage when you can, and ask a question, pose it, whatever. You can say, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm the host of such and such podcast, and here's my question," or "Here's my take on this. My answer to the question that's being posed." Again, participating in the community in ways other than just your podcast is really a key to making it happen. So I really think that it's possible in the course of 30, 60, 90 days to double your audience or more, just by following some of these key strategies. If you have a mailing list, use it. Don't hesitate to send an email out to your audience about each new episode. Find a way to do it in a fun, engaging way, but you want people to make sure that they're coming back for more. If you know what your next episode is going to be, use that as a tease to lead into the future. I have to turn this thing on. It's the iPad shutting off. So use your coming in the next episode as a teaser to get people interested. And you could even do that a couple of times in between episodes, just to say, "Hey, don't forget, tune in this, on this day, or make sure you get the episode right away when it hits." And if you have questions for this guest, if you know far enough in advance who the guest is going to be, invite your audience to present questions to them, and you'll read some questions from the audience. I think that's a great approach. And it gets more engagement. An engaged audience will be there for you. They're loyal, and that's fantastic. So, what else? Anybody have any questions about not monetizing, growing your audience, building up the number of downloads so you can continue and gain momentum? That's all it's about, is momentum. Once you get the ball rolling, you can sort of build the machine where these things happen automatically. That's another key we'll talk about, is developing systems for creating your podcast so that you streamline the process. And especially if you're outsourcing to VAs and editors and things like that, having systems so that you make sure you're giving them all the right deliverables, and that they're giving you all the right deliverables, is tremendously important. It makes it easier to be consistent and top-notch quality. Professionalism really matters, and it goes beyond good quality of sound, video, those kinds of things, but also just knowing what you're going to talk about, having a plan, and it doesn't stop when you push stop on the record. The plan continues into the marketing and promotion of the episodes. So I think I'm done for today. Thank you very much for being here, and I will look forward to chit-chatting with you again in the future. If you're watching on the replay and you have a comment that you'd like to share, please do. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time. Oh, and let me know, when is a good day to do these things live so that you can participate? Good day and a good time. Convert it to Pacific time, U.S. Pacific time if you can. And I'm going to try to get here at least every other week, probably every week, to do a presentation of something. And if you have a topic you'd like to talk about, let's do that as well. All right. With that, I will say thanks for watching, and look forward to talking to you again next time. Have a great day. Bye. Yeah. Wait a minute. I forgot my call to action. Let me ask you, who do you know who would benefit from being a part of this Facebook group? Invite them. Get that name in your head. How about 3 names? Think of 3 people that you know who would benefit from being a part of this Legit Podcast Pro group. People who take it seriously and are committed to having a successful podcast. Tell them what we're doing here in this group. Invite them to join. They can go to legitpodcastpro.com. Send them a quick note, email, text, share this video with them, or share the title of the video with them, and tell them how they can access it inside the group. Okay, now we really are done. Have a great day. Happy Sunday.